Microtransactions, free to play, and DLC. Is it good or bad for the video game industry?
Beneath this mask, there is more than flesh. Beneath this mask, there is an idea, Mr. Creedy. And ideas are bulletproof.
Welcome to Gaming Ideas. My name is Mastermind. On this episode, what I want to talk about isn't so much an idea for a specific game or franchise or genre of games. I want to specifically talk about the industry and their attempts to get as much money out of us as possible. Now, don't get me wrong. Video games from the start, especially home consoles, have tried to capitalize on the success that we saw in the arcade. They're trying to make a profit. Same thing with any other kind of industry, whether it's music or entertainment. Now, early on in any kind of genre, let's give an example, music. You have an artist that creates music and it usually comes from the soul. But then, when it becomes popularized, you have corporations that are going to invest money into this artist, but then they want to start controlling what the artist is doing, what the image the artist is projecting. And sometimes it goes against what the actual artist really represents. But because they feel like this is the artist's demographics, this is where they're going to polish that artist to be a certain way. So in a sense, anything that becomes popular ends up getting destroyed, whether it's hip hop music, rhythm and blues, rock and roll, whether it's movie making, it always seems to get destroyed. So that's why we always end up with indie stuff. You have indie musicians, you have indie movies, and now we have indie video games. Alrighty then. The difference with indie video games, I think, is a little bit more sinister than what we're really seeing. You know, these Kickstarter programs, I'm a little iffy on some of them. These free-to-play games, I'm a little iffy on some of them. These huge third-party companies making smaller indie kind of games, almost seems like they're still trying to drown out the little guys and the little developers. This kind of trend in video games does bother me to an extent. But I do understand the motivation. It's to get money.
Show me the money.
Show me the money. I need to feel you, Jerry. Show me the money. Jerry, you better yell. Show me the money.
As long as we understand that as consumers and we don't buy in to the silliness, the video game industry isn't going to crumble. But what will happen is that they're going to have to readjust what they think is going on. Like I'll give an example. EA is starting up this new program that's exclusive on Xbox One, where you pay a monthly fee or you pay a fee up front, and then you're able to play certain games early, you're able to play certain games free as long as you have that membership. That seems to be a trend that some in the video game industry want to see continuing. Sony denied them because it frankly conflicts with their PlayStation Network, PlayStation Plus memberships. And I can understand that it's almost a conflict of interest. Microsoft doesn't seem to really see it that way. So those are two different business ideas. But what ends up happening is we end up getting charged. We end up getting punished. So when Street Fighter X Tekken came out, I was very excited for the game. I remember watching the video where they first showed it. I think it was, I can't remember. I think it might have been at EVO. But I remember everybody's reaction and everybody was fangirling. You see Ryu come out, and then especially when Chun-Li jumps in there and starts doing her thing, everybody went crazy. But then later on, when the game actually came out, it was discovered that the DLC that they had announced or were going to announce already had the characters in the disc, already had the characters in there. So essentially, you were going to pay extra. You paid extra for characters that they had already created. They were holding back the content. I have a major problem with companies holding back content as opposed to you create a game and then you start developing content once the game is out or once the game is complete. Call of Duty, for instance. I don't know exactly how they go about doing the DLC maps, but it is obvious, at least in the second and third map packs, that they are working on it once the game is already released. So I don't have a problem with Titanfall or Call of Duty paying extra for those maps, especially because I already feel like I have a good package. If it has several different multiplayer modes, it has a single player campaign, as you know, does the Call of Duty games, and it has all of those things. I feel like I got $60 worth. And hey, if I'm going to go ahead and spend $24 or $40 or whatever it is, I'm good with that. Same thing with Killer Instinct. Okay, I spent $40 to get that Ultra Pack. Now season 2 is going to come out, and I'm going to get pay another $40 and get all the other content. I'm okay with that. It's ongoing, and that's fine. And by the way, I'm getting over a cold, so excuse me because I am a little scratchy and I'm swallowing a lot. But I'm okay with that sort of thing in video games. It doesn't really bother me. But the thing that does bother me, it makes me just want to...
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
Is games like Elder Scrolls Online wanting to charge you to play every month, or an upfront fee just to pay to play. I think it's a terrible practice, and I think it needs to stop. I think there's a lot of fans of the Elder Scrolls series, and they're preying on their fans. That's the thing that blows me away, is you know you have loyalists out there. You have people who, no matter what a company does or a development team does, they're just going to support it, no matter what, because they've deemed it as the greatest thing ever. And honestly, when I look at games like The Witcher, I'm not thinking of Elder Scrolls, or if I think of Dragon Age, I'm not thinking of Elder Scrolls Online. I just don't understand why anyone would pay to play in that sort of fashion. So games need to stop doing that, because you're preying on the very people who made you a wealthy company to begin with. I mean, that's essentially what you're doing, is you're screwing people over. And I don't care if a lot of you fanboys of Bethesda want to leave comments or get upset with me. The fact is, if you feel that way, you're the one being duped. So when you have these free-to-play titles, which, by the way, the whole marketing thing behind that, calling it free-to-play, is kind of ridiculous. They're going to give you a certain amount of content at no charge, but the content is almost unenjoyable. So it's really watered down. But then you start paying extra, these microtransactions, to attain certain things. So for instance, you might need a weapon to progress to a certain part. Well, if you don't have the weapon, you can't really get past a certain part, but you have to buy to get the weapon. I have kind of issues with that, because I feel like it's a totally incomplete and unnecessary thing. That would be like you go to a restaurant and you're looking at the menu and it's telling you what the prices are on the menu. So let's say, you're going to get the chicken Madeira at Cheesecake Factory. Okay, let me get the chicken Madeira. So you think you're going to pay $13-14 for whatever this dinner. And then they say, okay, now it's going to be an extra $10 to rent the plates, the cups, the forks, or whatever it is. That's kind of how I feel. Maybe it's not the best analogy, but that's kind of how I feel with these microtransactions. So let's say, for instance, a game like Destiny, which is going to come out. Now, I'm not suggesting that Destiny is going to have microtransactions, even though there have been rumors and there have been concerns that the game is going to do that. But hypothetically speaking, let's just say they implemented a microtransaction system. It would be, I think, terrible, because you have a game that millions of people are anticipating, and let's say you go online and you feel like it's an even level playing field, but you see people running around with a gun that you don't have, a gun that you can't earn in the game, a gun that's overpowered. If I don't have the money, or I don't feel like paying for it, I don't feel like I should be at a disadvantage. Now, skins are different. If somebody is running around in the world and they're in pink and silver with neon lights shooting out their ass,
Okay.
I don't care. If they want to pay extra for that, fine. If you want a kind of different skin for your gun, I've bought them in Call of Duty. I'm okay with that. But when it comes to the corporate side of it and the marketers and everything trying to affect gameplay things by making us pay extra for content, I have an issue with that. I don't have an issue with skins. I don't have an issue with maps. I don't have an issue with extra missions. I don't have problems with any of that stuff, because it's really up to the consumer. That's the choice. If you really love Mass Effect and you want to get added story content in the games and you want to purchase it, fine. Go ahead and do so. I don't care. Put as many of those as you want, because you're extending the life of a game. But when you're purposely holding back and you're purposely adding things that directly affect your success in the game, that I think is an issue. And I think that practice needs to stop. I think that's more of a problem than the exclusivity issues that a lot of people are talking about between Sony and Microsoft. So here is my gaming idea. First, my gaming idea to us, the consumer, the gamer. Stop buying this shit. Make it clear on the blogs, on the comments on YouTube. Go to IGN. Make your voice heard.
It rubs the lotion on its skin, or else it gets the hose again.
If you attend E3, if you attend the Comic Cons, if you attend Gamescom, you go to Evo, anywhere you go, you speak to developers, you make it clear, no, I don't like those kind of microtransactions. That practice needs to stop. I don't like you holding back content on the game and then making me pay extra for content that should have already been in the game. It's one thing if they have some epiphany, hey, if we add this laser gun to the game, it's going to be better. Hey, let's create it and then put a DLC. I'm fine with that. Definitely do it. Keep extending the life of a game. That's fine. Just kind of like what they're doing in Killer Instinct. Even though I think they are overcharging a little bit, it's still extending the life of a game. I have no problem with that. I rather have that than what I see in Street Fighter, where they're releasing the same game over and over and over. It's the arcade edition and Super and Ultra and all of that crap. Stop doing that. And then you're giving us Street Fighter X Tekken characters and Street Fighter X Tekken stages and just putting it all together and making it seem like it's a whole new package when it's not. You add a couple of gameplay elements, and I know it does change the way the game plays, but it's not extending the life of the game. You're trying to call it a new game, and it really isn't. Even though I'm a huge Street Fighter fan, but I think that's something that I need to make clear. So my gaming idea is for consumers, we got to stop buying and falling into these traps. Because if we don't, and they keep making money on it, they're going to keep doing it. As far as the industry is concerned, my gaming idea to the industry is listen. Listen. A lot of people have given Microsoft a lot of flack for them changing policies. This isn't politics. They are allowed to change policies if their fans are upset over certain things. Sony's allowed to do it, and God, I wish Nintendo would do it. So if you're going to change some policies and a way of thinking that's either outdated or isn't really the best for your gamers, great. Change the policy and everybody is happy. So once again, I would like to thank you for listening and watching my video, especially because I'm under the weather and I don't sound too great. But I just want to add one more thing. Usually at this point of the video, I suggest and I ask for people to like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel, which I'm still doing. But I think given this particular conversation, I think video gaming is one of the coolest hobbies a person can have. And the community that we've built, gamers, was really from the ground up, because it wasn't so mainstream. And just a couple of years ago, you were considered a real loser if you would even admit to playing video games. I mean, there's still some of that to this day, but it's becoming cooler and cooler, more accepted in society. So with that said, let's support each other. I'm not paid by any corporation, so I'm not a corporate media person trying to sway your opinion. I'm just a gamer just like you, and I have my own opinion, as I'm sure many of you do. So definitely, let's support one another. Like, share, comment, and definitely subscribe. Get your friends, get your family, get them all to subscribe. and watch the videos. I would really appreciate it. And let's support one another. Leave a comment. I'll try to get back to you for sure. Anyway, thanks again. Mastermind out.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Blasting all, overcasting all, cloudy days making waves, mastermind be